Welcome everybody. If we could please take our seats, we'll get started here as soon as we can. So just 30-second warning. Perfect. I'll keep it brief right now. It's my pleasure to welcome our Summit Chair, Anna Arsov, to kick off the Macedonia 25 session this year. Anna?
Dobro jutro I dobro dojdovte. Јас сум Ана Арсов, председавач на самитот да Македонија 2025 и член на одборот исто така. Ви благодарам што сте тука, волку голем број и многу од вас пресрекна сум кога ќе видам дека не поддржувате со години наназад. Ја исто така сум многу среќна што нашиот борд е тука и голем дел нашиот борд е тука и би сакала да ги замолам членовите на бордот. So all members of the board, if you can please get up and identify yourselves. All right. Awesome. So I think most of you know what we are, but I'm not going to talk a lot about our organization, but talk about our summit. I'm going to turn to English. Actually, it becomes more natural language for me, especially when I talk about business. So this is our 8th year in the summit that we're organizing the Macedonia 2025 summit. And I would like to say that when we decided to organize the first summit, we didn't know it's going to turn into this and such a great tradition. So thank you for all your support throughout the years. The summit is an important part of our mission. It's a platform where we focus on topics that are key to economic development and also topics that are very much aligned with our mission, making Macedonia a stronger nation for many, many years to come. We still have 2 great days planned for you. More than 350 participants and over 60 speakers. Yesterday was a big day as well. We had a soft opening which featured one of the 3 pitching events that will take place during the year's summit. Yesterday's event was the final round of high school competition for the best business concept. This competition is 6th year in a row. It's true pleasure for our board members to be judges for this competition. They have ton fun doing it, but also to appreciate the inventiveness of the Young Macedonian Summit, as well as to see firsthand the energy and the passion for success in entrepreneurship in this country. We really believe that economic development, entrepreneurship is key. So we like to support that, and that's part of our mission. The high school best business concept competition was followed by a great virtual discussion with a management guru and big support of our organization, a personal friend of our co-founder, Mike Zafirovsky, Professor Harry Kramer. Harry is a former CEO of one of the largest pharmaceuticals in the world, Baxter, leading professor of leading management and talent development at Kellogg School of Business, which we have partnership, and Nikita will talk more about that. At yesterday's soft opening, Kramer was interviewed by Mr. Zafirovsky, and together they give some great insights on what makes a great leader. Leadership is one of the key metrics that we want to be focused on, and we'll hear more about that. The next 2 days will focus on topics that we think are critical for economic development, not just in Macedonia, but actually all over the world. First and foremost, understanding the geopolitical trends of the day. Our participants need to understand that we live in a very complex world, and geopolitics has never been so important, with some possibly tectonic shifts on the global stage. And we would like to highlight how our country can play a part of this evolving and very complex world. We also focused on key aspects of strategies for economic development. In a small country like ours, with limited resources, we need to be very smart about utilizing those resources for the best ROI on our investment, which is basically you, the citizens. However, I'm most excited about our key focus topics of the summit. And the focus topics we chose this year are future of jobs and skills and environmental issues, which are extremely acute in Macedonia. We all know that. But by the way, I attend many conferences throughout the year, as well as our board members, and key topics of every single conference I've been this year has been environmentally, socially, governance, and responsibilities of running businesses. We want to make sure that we are part of those global trends the next 2 days. So there are a lot to talk about. Nikita, but particularly what I'm happy about is that we have a great new CEO who will be introduced later and who will give an amazing mission coverage of what we stand for. So she'll take you through our great plans and what we plan to do and what we've been doing with our organization over the last 8 years. But before Nikita, we have wonderful guests and great officials, both from, obviously, the government, the Ambassador Court, and thank you so much for all being there. But I would like to introduce our president, Mr. Stevo Pedanorski. Please welcome to the stage.
Почитувани домаќини од Македонија 2025, почитувани представници на бизнис заедницата, на медиумите, почитувани гости, драги пријатели. Благодарам за можноста да се обратам на отварањето на годинешниот самит Македонија 2025, на кој се собрани успешни менаџери, бизнисмени, представници од државните институции, дипломати, членови на академската заедница, или со други зборови кажано, на едно место концентрирано знаење, искуство, вештини и значајни бизнис достигнувања. Македонија 2025 од самите своји почетоци пред повеќе од 10 години работи на поврзување на бизнисите од земјата и странство, помага во развивање на лидерските вештини со цел да се придонесе за економскиот развој на земјата. Притоа никогаш не беа нудени инстант решенија и краткорочни мерки за успех, туку фундирани стратегии и долгорочни програми, планови и активности за нивна целосна реализација. Затоа во оваа прилика би сакал да се заблагодарам на членовите на Македонија 2025 за сиот ангажман, одвоено време и енергија, од чии резултати несомнено имаат полза и ќе имаат полза нашата економија и директно или индиректно македонските граѓани. Се надевам, а познавајќи добар дел од вас, убеден сум дека и во иднина ќе продолжите со истата посветеност и мотивираност во остварување на вашата и наша заедничка визија, просперитетна и богата држава. Драги пријатели, верувам дека сите овде споделуваме заедничка визија за модерна Република Северна Македонија. Држава со млади кои ќе бидат задоволни со својот живот овде, развивајќи се и остварувајќи се во својата земја. Држава со постојан економски напредок и развој, подготвена да се менува и да ја адаптира својата економија согласно светските трендови. Еден од основните предуслови за тоа да се случи е соработката на политичарите со бизнис заедницата, односно градење на политики согласно потребите и барањата на актуелниот економски контекст. Јас лично, можеби нескромно, се ставам на располагање согласно моите надлежности за секоја иницијатива и сугестија од ваша страна, затоа што од првиот ден на оваа функција верувам во одговорно лидерство. Во нашата држава е неспорно дека се потребни натамошни реформи, не само во економијата, туку и во останатите области од витално значење. Без владење на правото, доверба во институциите и нивно непристрасно и професионално функционирање нема подобрување на бизнис климата. Јас сум свесен дека оваа фраза ја повторуваме со години и дека на бизнис заедницата и на граѓаните им е доста од чекање. Но навистина верувам дека после сите искушенија низ кои поминавме последниве години, конечно е креирана позитивна атмосфера и постои политичка волја кај клучните фактори и во власта и кај опозицијата да се истрае во намерите и развојот на економијата да стане наш апсолутен приоритет. Почитувани, годинешниот самит има навистина богата програма со изворени говорници, панел дискусии на актуелни теми, грижливо одбрани тематски сесии. Се радувам што во фокусот е и животната средина, односно загадувањето на воздухот со акцент на иновациите и нивното влијание врз подобрување на условите за живот. Пред неколку дена ја имав честа да ја отворам и 17-тата Еконова, каде што се уверив во значењето и потребата од пронајдоци и изуми кои ќе помогнат во спречувањето и справувањето со загадувањето. Дигитализацијата е уште една тема која е во фокусот на годинешниот самит и би сакал навистина да ја поздравам и оваа иницијатива, затоа што и самиот сметам дека со оглед на потенцијалот кој го имаме во IT секторот, ова е гранка на која треба посебно да се посветиме. Да ги едуцираме младите уште од мала возраст да кодираат, но и да го поддржиме IT секторот во целина, со цел да даде далеку поголем придонес кон вкупниот економски развој на земјата. Треба да разбереме дека оваа земја може да обстане само ако наша стратешка цел биде инвестирањето во младите луѓе кои мораат, повторувам, едноставно мораат првата шанса за успех и просперитет да ја добијат тука, дома. Почитувани пријатели, ви посакувам успешен самит и плодни дискусии. Благодарам за вниманието.
Thank you very much. Quickly, I'd like to welcome our new CEO, Nikita Lashevsky, to opening remarks and to introduce our Prime Minister. Nikita?
Добро утро на сите. Многу сум среќна што ве гледам во овој број на вистина. Тоа значи дека сме една силна критична маса која што може на вистина да направи промени и затоа сме сите денес тука. Да се обидеме да направиме промени. Ова е за мене 5-то издание на самитот на кој што присуствувам од 8-те. Меѓутоа прв пат се наоѓам во овој дел на отварањето од оваа страна на бината. Не се чувствувам најпријатно, морам да кажам, привилегија е, меѓутоа и голема одговорност. И пред да почнам со својот одговор, сакам да одбележам две работи, кои што се малку приватни, меѓутоа мислам дека не поврзуваат сепак и не прават пријатели пред се. Најпрво ќе го повикам Мајк Зафировски. Мајк, it's your birthday today. We know it, we were hiding it from you. Yeah, happy birthday and уште многу години да ни помагаш, Мајк. Втората исто малку неформална приказна, тука ќе го повикам председателот. Председателот е практично тој кој што 2002, така беше, кој што ја започна иницијативата, значи кој што прв го најде контактот на Мајк Зафировски, вели има успешен македонец надвор од Македонија, Моторола и така натаму. И ја започна иницијативата со тогашниот председател Борис Трајковски. Така што тука сте на право место и благодарам. Сега да почнеме со формалниот дел на мојот говор. Сакам да ја представам организацијата. Знам дека повеќето од вас ја знаат, со повеќето од вас лично се знаеме, сме соработувале, меѓутоа сепак чувствувам потреба на вистина силно да повторуваме кои сме и која е нашата цел, надевајќи се дека во вас имаме силни партнери за да направиме добри работи. Македонија 2025 е непрофитна, неполитичка институција со примарен фокус на економски и лидерски развој. Организација која што соработува со бизнис секторот, владата, академијата, со сите партнери, со цел создавање можности за економски развој и на тој начин помагајќи да изградиме посилна нација. Минатата година прославивме 10 годишнина од оваа организација, јубилеј, кој што говори многу, оставивме назад многу работи, меѓутоа исто така создава голема одговорност за понатаму. Велиме помагаме во создавање на просперитетна економска клима и посилна нација, која што ќе ги подобри можностите за граѓаните, компаниите, странските инвеститори, промовираме одржлив економски развој преку поттикнување на конкурентност, на предприемништво, за тоа сведочат и настаните кои што минатата година ги остварувавме и вчера впрочем, промовираме иновации и промовираме лидерство базирано на вредности. Нашите програмски цели и активности се фокусирани во 5 главни области. Првата област е образование и лидерски развој, значи нешто што сметаме дека може многу да придонесе за идниот развој на државата. Забрзување на економскиот развој преку поддршка на конкурентноста на бизнисите, поддршка за да извезуваат повеќе, секако поддршка и на младите предприемачи. Понатаму велиме како да ја поврземе диаспората. Даваме алатка на диаспората, сите оние кои што се надвор, професионални, нашата економска диаспора, да помогнат, да се здружат, сите со една цел, секако да помогнеме и да одиме кон побрз развој. Ги застапуваме идеалите на транспарентно општество, демократско општество и општество базирано на, уште еднаш ке речам, инклузија и општество добро за сите граѓани, впрочем. Покрај тоа, исто така сакаме да го измериме ова. Сакаме, или идејата на организацијата, да имаме една мерлива алатка, како го следиме прогресот, што значи економски прогрес. Постојано зборуваме за економски прогрес. И ќе се навратам на тоа прашање посебно. Знаете, кога имате 10 годишни или некој јубилеј, главното прашање е што сме постигнале. 10 години работиме. Секој обид да се квантифицира тоа што е направено е тешко. Ќе изоставиме многу важни работи. Меѓутоа ќе се обидам да представам дел од тоа. Знам дека мајке реагира, ќе рече не Никица и многу повеќе, меѓутоа дел од тоа. Сме поддржале над 300 бизниси за раст и извоз и поврзување со партнери и овие програми се отприлика во вредност од 3 милиони американски долари. Преку програмите за лидерство сме поддржале над 400 менаџери и предприемачи и инвестирани се околу 1 милион долари. Континуирано работиме на поврзување на диаспората и ангажирање на диаспората. Тај е наш голем ресурс. Така што имаме 40 членови на нашиот совет на експерти, значи покрај бордот, совет на експерти, низ целиот свет и 40 млади професионалци кои што се нашите амбасадори, токму така и се вика клуб на амбасадори. Тука се со нас, благодарам за поддршката. Минатата година основавме фонд за поддршка на талентирани ученици, стипендираме навистина талентирани деца кои што доаѓаат од ранливи социјални категории, меѓутоа се иднината навистина прекрасни деца. Инспириравме и помагавме многу економски реформи. Самитот е еден од настаните преку кои ги пренесуваме пораките или бараме економски реформи. Изминатите години тука беше претходниот премиер на Грузија, на Сингапур, на Естонија, навистина прекрасни приказни и веруваме дека инспириравме кај нас реформи. Секако, значи, морам да го напоменам и фокусот на организацијата кон поддршка и привлекување на странски директни инвестиции. Но се тоа се само бројки. Она што не можеме да го измериме, тоа е напорот, енергијата, времето и финансиите на овие 13 имаме практично денес членови на одборот на директори, меѓутоа и сите вас. Со сите вас работиме. Меѓутоа, ако се запрашаме дали сме направиле доста, би рекла да. Ако се запрашаме дали е тоа доволно, не. Не е доволно ако го имаме во предвид капацитетот на земјата, капацитетот на бизнисите, капацитетот на организацијата, на диаспората и така натаму. Неопходно е да се обединиме, неопходно е да се договориме и обединиме околу неколку главни точки. И теоретски изгледа многу едноставно. Верувам дека секој од нас се залага или сака да имаме одлично образование, одлична инфраструктура, да има иновации, високопродуктивни работни места, високоплатени работници. Меѓутоа би рекла дека тешко ни оди, а тоа е единствениот рецепт за долгорочен развој. Сите ние тука, мислам дека не зборуваме само за квантитетот на луѓето кои што се тука, зборувам за квалитетот, сите вие кои што сте тука. Ние сме носителите на промените. Би рекла дека како организација би се извинела до сите, оваа година или првата половина од годината малку бевме свртени кон нас. Значи јас бев нов извршен директор, иако сум блиска до организацијата, Вера Ставров, нов председател на одборот на директори, ни требаше малку време да размислиме што правиме понатаму, како да го исцртаме патот на следните 10 години. Она што сме сигурни дека ќе го правиме, тоа е зајакнување на програмите и зголемување на импактот. Зголемена поддршка на бизнисите, нови програми за поддршка на бизнисите. Меѓутоа и понатаму се прашуваме како да направиме или се прашувавме поголем импакт. Знаете што? Партнерство е зборот кој што постојано си го повторуваме. Само со партнерство. Сите ние така ќе направиме промени. Партнерства со бизнисите, партнерства со носителите на политиките. Вчера подпишавме еден меморандум за соработка со Стопанската комора на Македонија. Одиме на тој пат. Ке дозволите малку сепак да се навратам и на името на организацијата. Мислам дека тоа е главното прашање. Зошто Македонија 2025 и дали ќе го смените името од тоа 2025 понатаму? Не. Македонија 2025 имаше за цел во своето основање до 2025 година да станеме дел од развиениот западен свет. Ќе се навратам и ќе објаснам што тоа би значило. Меѓутоа, која е суштината? Што е важно за сите нас тука? Животниот стандард. Тоа ни е најважно, така. Второ, би рекла квалитетот на животот. Зборуваме за емиграција, зборуваме за недоволно работни места во земја, меѓутоа не е само тоа. Квалитетот на животот. Дали е тоа здравство, животната средина, образованието, Тоа се темите кои што впрочем ќе ги зборуваме на самитот. На тоа е нашиот фокус. И сега оно што за жал тука сакам да го представам и некако секоја година на самитот имам некој јас ваков слайд, тоа е нашиот животен стандард. Јас би рекла сакаме се мериме со западниот свет. За жал немаме напредок. Правиме, не велам не, сите, веројатно кога ќе се помислите, секој од нас прави нешто за да биде подобро. Меѓутоа, овој напредок е доста бавен. Значи, се уште нашиот животен стандард е околу 37% од просечниот животен стандард во ЕУ. Секако има и многу побогати земји. И сега ова не навраќа на прашањето кое што во нашата мисија, што значи тогаш посилна нација? Што значи дел од развиениот западен свет? Во рамки на организацијата и во нашите размисли, точно си го поставивме истото прашање. Како ќе измериме дали сме станале посилна нација? Затоа имаме една алатка, која што беше претходно, мислам, представена, ја нарекуваме Country Dashboard, на македонски матрица за следење на економскиот напредок. Што покажува матрицата? Знаете, веднаш црвеното значи нешто лошо. Така? Првите мерки се стандардни мерки. БДП или бруто домашен производ по глава на жител, раст на бруто домашниот производ, странски директни инвестиции, кредитен рейтинг. Значи, гледате дека земјата, значи, го следиме напредокот од година во година. Исто така го следиме напредокот со една група на земји кои што сметаме дека се слични на Република Македонија. И што гледаме? Нема напредок. Реално не одиме по тој пат кон градење на силна нација. Ние како организација поставивме таргети, тоа е последната колона, ама сме далеко од таргетите. И тогаш велиме, добро, ние сме непрофитна организација, не можеме да го смениме светот и државата, меѓутоа што можеме ние да направиме? И како организација излеговме со неколку елементи кои што сметаме дека се области каде што треба да работиме, и ќе речам ова се областите каде што сигурна сум дека има консенсус меѓу сите нас тука дека напорите треба да бидат насочени натаму. Тоа се оние точки кои што сметам дека треба да не поврзат сите и да имаме единство околу нив. Образование, инвестиции, иновации, владење на правото, демократско општество, животна средина. Тоа е каде што сакаме да се фокусираме и зашто ќе зборуваме денес. И сега прашањето е како да стигнеме таму. Немаме некое веднаш решение да го понудиме, меѓутоа што би рекла? Да учиме, да мултиплицираме, да ги мултиплицираме успешните приказни, да ги мултиплицираме позитивните ефекти. Самитот е место каде што го правиме тоа. Овој самит 75% од говорниците се македонци, успешни. Сакаме да покажеме дека можете да бидете успешни тука, да работите тука, не мора да емигрирате. Да собираме и мултиплицираме наместо да делиме. Многу важно. И сакам да го завршам своето излагање со една мисла која што минатата година Мајк Зафировски ја кажа во затварањето на самитот. Мајк, секогаш ќе го мислам ова. И сите ние веројатно. Не е важно дали одиме десно или лево. Важно е дали одиме нагоре или надолу. Живееме во свет во кој што веќе не важи правилото дека големите ги јадат, ке речам, малите. Ова е свет во кој што брзите ги јадат спорите. Да побрзаме.
Thank you very much for that impassioned speech, and I hear everybody is fired up like I am. So it's now my distinct pleasure to introduce the Prime Minister of Macedonia. Come on up.
Почитуван председателе на Република Северна Македонија Стево Пендаровски, почитувани амбасадорке на Соединетите Американски држави Кейт Бърнс, почитувани амбасадори кои што сте денеска со нас овде, почитувани организатори, предприемачи, академици, драги гости, господине Зафировски, господине Битов, кој што ви гледам денеска овде, почитувана гувернерке, драга Вера, Никица, Ана, сите со нас, почитувани деловни луѓе, наши македонци од светот дојдени овде. Ми представува особена чест и задоволство да ви се обратам на денешниот утрински панел на 8-миот подред самит на Македонија 2025. Ова иницијатива низ годините се покажа како мост на поврзување со нашата диаспора. Би сакал да ја искажам својата и благодарноста на владата до нашата професионална диаспора, нашите познати луѓе со кои што се гордееме, до основачите и членовите на одборот на директори на Македонија 2025 за желбата да го помогнат севкупниот економски развој на државата. Владата интензивно и континуирано работи на креирање на политики кои на нашата бизнис диаспора ќе ја олесни пристап до создавање на нови работни места, а нивниот капитал да го донесат во својата татковина. Впрочем, голем дел од нив се впишани и во националната стратегија на Република Северна Македонија за соработка со диаспората 2019-2023 година. Пред нас, како што знаете, се последните чекори кои ги превземаме кон полноправно членство во НАТО, со што ќе се создаде безбедна економска клима, стабилност и сигурност на вашиот капитал. Различните економски прилики низ изминатите декади предизвикаа голем бран на одлив на млади луѓе и стручни кадри. Но тоа не значи дека во нашата држава не останаа посветени граѓани кои секој ден работат упорно за подобро утре. Ве повикувам низ оваа иницијатива и низ секој можен канал на комуникација воопшто воспоставена, да ги држите живи контактите, да инвестирате во нашите граѓани, посебно во младите. Оние на кои им е најмногу потребно сега повеќе од било кога да разберат дека и овде дома се може. Низ серијата политики кои ги креиравме, преку планот за економски раст, преку поддршката која дава Фондот за иновации, преку даночните и другите стимулации за малите бизниси, треба да испратиме заедничка порака дека ние сме подготвени да бидеме економски хаб, центар во овој дел од европскиот континент. Иницијативите кои ги превземаме минатиот викенд со лидерите на регионот само дополнително ќе ги затврстат и олеснат постоечките економски текови и ќе отворат нови перспективи. Размената на човечкиот капитал ќе се олесни, ќе се олеснат административните процедури, се со цел подобро утре на сите нас. Ве повикувам активно да ги користите сите овие мерки. Бидете креативни, создавајте нови иновативни бизниси. Дојдете дома, кога ги имате сите услови, треба да работиме заедно со вас и на младите предприемачи да им овозможиме светла иднина. Имаме пристап до пазар со над 650 милиони само во рамките на Европската Унија. Дома сме, а произведуваме за цел континент. Тоа е суштинската придобивка и на патриотизмот и на либералните економски политики. На представниците на компаниите сакам да им порачам. Тука сме, работиме и за вас и за нашите граѓани. Давајте слободни иницијативи, ги слушаме и имплементираме. На младите кои се тука и оние кои не следат низ цел свет им порачувам. Република Северна Македонија ги затвори сите горливи прашања. Поречиси 3 декади од самостојноста, на крајот сме на остварување на нашите стратешки интереси, членството во Европската Унија и НАТО. Нема повеќе несигурност. Реформите ги забрзуваме. Вас ве почитуваме. Разговарајте со поискусните. Развивајте ги своите академски и лични потенцијали. Само така може подобро и повеќе да постигнете. Дури и да заминете, потоа преку вашите иницијативи вратете се назад. Градете тука. Ние сме тука за вас, вам ви служиме. Бројките кои што денеска отсликуваат економската состојба во нашата земја, навистина испраќаат сериозна надеж. Таа надеж дефинитивно представува само наша амбиција кон уште поголеми успеси. Овој самит секако е во прилог на сите наши позитивни аспирации за нашата земја. Ви посакувам на сите успешен самит и низ вмрежувања. Се надевам дека ќе произлезат идни иницијативи на кои сигурен сум дека сите ќе бидеме горди. Благодарам.
Thank you, Prime Minister. One last speech to finish off this session. I'd like to invite Kate Burns, the U.S. Ambassador to North Macedonia. Please come to the stage.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished representatives, colleagues, friends, good morning. Dobro jutro. I want to start by thanking Nikiska Belizevsky and Mike Zafirovsky and the entire Macedonia 2025 Executive Board and team for inviting me to participate, for organizing this exceptional program, and for facilitating the conversations and connections that are taking place over these 3 days. This gathering could not be timelier, as North Macedonia stands poised to enter NATO and to finally realize its transatlantic and European aspirations. This process has not always been an easy one. It has seen its share of fits and starts and has required some serious compromises. But through determined efforts, this country has set itself on the right course and is looking, and more importantly, is moving forward. Events like this, bringing together representatives of the private sector, government, and the international community, play a critical role in helping solidify the progress that has been made over the last few years. Having recently arrived in Skopje myself, I have spent the last 4 months trying to speak with a wide diversity of people, listening and trying to understand the issues that affect them and that steer the decisions that they make. One thing has been fully evident from the start, and that is that the business and civil society here have demonstrated and continue to demonstrate an impressive resilience and dedication to creating the conditions for a future for this country, a future that is grounded in the rule of law, in responsible business conduct, and in factors that create an inviting climate to attract investment and to cultivate entrepreneurial spirit. And as we at the United States Embassy look for the most effective means to expand our efforts to strengthen democracy and rule of law and reinforce strong economic ties between North Macedonia and the United States, we will be looking to Macedonia 2025 and its members for inspiration and guidance and partnership. We see you as valuable partners in identifying and embracing the core values that successful economies and inclusive societies should always strive to attain. So many of the issues that are vital to this country's success, support for and implementation of the rule of law, the continued fight against corruption and abuse of power, and a diversified economy, are issues that business people here among us today can influence for the better. It is a basic fact that respect for the rule of law is an essential ingredient to increase prosperity and grow opportunity. It is impossible to imagine doing business anywhere without having reasonable, reliable expectations of the rules of behavior or impartial mechanisms for managing claims and disputes. I know that all of you will agree that consistent and fair application of clear laws and regulations is critical to promoting business and to attracting investment. While I don't need to tell you that North Macedonia still faces a number of challenges, the progress that has been made in the past few years, while sometimes hard to see through the din of daily life, is both measurable and significant. There's a reason why the Heritage Foundation, a Washington-based think tank, ranked North Macedonia number 33 in the world in its 2019 Index of Economic Freedom, incidentally putting it ahead of every other country in the region, including its 2 EU member states, neighbors. Even the Lonely Planet has weighed in, naming North Macedonia the number 3 country and tourist destination in 2020, after Bhutan, which is pretty tough to compete against, and England. But these, jokes aside, are very important signs to the world that North Macedonia is coming into its own. Economic growth goes hand in hand with political progress and stability, and there is no issue from Euro-Atlantic integration to improving education or addressing the environmental concerns that is untouched by business. As entrepreneurs concerned about locking in a course for this country that is firmly rooted in prosperity, you cannot afford to be silent, and decision makers cannot afford to ignore you. This country has set its sights on the future, and it has all the ingredients for success. It has a smart, overwhelmingly English-speaking youth and a growing tech sector with a little bit of nurturing that could be the envy of the region. Yes, the delay in getting a date to open EU accession negotiations was a disappointment, but it was just that. It was a delay, and it was due to EU internal processes. It was decidedly not a judgment on the laudable progress that this country has made in the past few years. And the United States remains confident that North Macedonia is and will have a European future, and we will continue to be standing alongside you as you seek that strategic future and as you continue on this path. In closing, I would like to encourage you to remember the critical role that all of you play in this country's future and to continue to make your voices heard. For North Macedonia to realize its full potential, it will require everyone, business people, government, civil society, international friends and supporters, working in concert to make the future promise a reality. I wish you all a productive summit, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on this important partnership. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I invite you to have a quick coffee break. We'll be back here starting strictly at 10 o'clock for our next panel on global geopolitical trends, implications for the region. So enjoy some coffee and be back here at 10 o'clock.
Okay, I said, why don't you pull them?
Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. If we could please come back and take our seats, we'll make sure we get started for the next panel here on time. At this time, I'd like to invite the panelists to come take your seats on stage real quick. Come, yeah, take your seat. Any order or? Yes. Your second one. Yeah.
Can you call Terry Schultz?
And is Terry Schultz here? She'll be in here in a second. First things first, just want to apologize. We didn't have coffee. Unfortunately, I didn't have my coffee yet this morning. Thus, the reason why I thought we would have it. It'll be there at 11:30. So everybody, just get excited for this next panel. It's going to be fantastic. Again, I'd like to introduce our summit chair. Anna's going to kick this next session off while we're waiting for Terry to get here. So Anna, take it away.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? That's good. So thank you so much, panel, for being here. We're having one more that was here and missing. She'll probably show up, so we'll make it spontaneous. Okay. So we have a great panel. We're kicking start always, if you've been on our summit for many, many years, we try to start with big picture and then we delve into more issues later. The theme of this panel is geopolitical issues and how it affects our region and specifically our country. I have great panelists. So I'll start here with, we're very proud to have our first Macedonian in the European Parliament, but representing Slovenia here, Irena Joveva. Let's give applause. Beautiful, talented, ambitious young lady. I cannot be more proud to have you here in the panel, so thank you. Then Mr. Marco Mantovanelli from the World Bank. He's the director of the Skopje's office, and also covering Kosovo as well. Here's the star. Come on, Terry. I'm just starting to introduce. So, a lovely lady, Terry Schultz, who works for the NPR and Deutsche Welle. My fellow compatriot from the US, but also a great knowledge covering of the European Union issues. We'll try to demystify a lot of discussions that are happening in the Macedonian domain that she will help us translate us here, what's happening in Brussels primarily. And then, of course, Andrew Robel, who is the founder of Emerging Europe, a great think tank, newsmaker, story maker of what's happening in the Emerging Europe, which Macedonia technically is part of. So thank you, panel, for being here. I'll kickstart, I come from the US, and so I have very, kind of skewed perspectives to a certain degree, because in my world, the discussions that I'm part of is US or China. so Europe becomes less relevant in a lot of the geopolitics these days, and I'm like to debate that. And we as a country are even a small part of, if you will, Europe. So we as a country have had an ambition to join the European Union for a long time. I don't think I need to tell you that. I think we heard it from our politicians that that's really our goal. That's where we want to be. Of every prime minister, every president that has been, president of Macedonia, that has been the ambition. However, we did have a little hiccup. I think all of you are aware of our little hiccup earlier in the year. Apparently, France put a veto on what was pretty unified view that we should start our succession talks. So, Terry, I want to start with you, because I know you have strong opinions on this. Can you tell us what happened?
Okay, to start with, I don't have strong opinions, I have facts, and I want everybody to know that.
Good facts to grit to opinions.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I don't have opinions. I have a long history with friends here in Northern Macedonia, and I have been here many times reporting, but I don't have opinions on this, and neither should most people. What happened in Brussels was that France didn't want to approve expansion to anybody. So you guys happen to be first in line, so it hits you. It doesn't make anybody feel good when somebody says, oh, it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's us. I mean, it still feels the same way. It still feels like rejection. But I can tell you 100% that everybody else was prepared to let North Macedonia in, and the fury in Johannes Hahn, the Commissioner for Enlargement, in Federica Mogherini, in the Finnish presidency, on the day that it was clear that they were not going to be able to talk France into this, they were so angry. And they weren't angry at you. Everyone said North Macedonia has done what it should. North Macedonia has done everything we asked it to do to get to this point. And it was incomprehensible to the other EU members, to the EU officials who'd worked so hard on this, as well as to the North Macedonia population, why you had followed all the steps. Prespa was so painful. You've done it well, you've done it honorably, and that France said no. There are no conspiracy theories. When I heard from a friend here that there were articles coming out in the Macedonian press saying that they were trying to make you feel like you were not worthy and you had not done enough, that's bullshit, okay? Don't listen to it. Read respected media. Read mainstream media. Don't fall for the fake news, even when it's propagated in your own towns. Please don't. Read mainstream news media. And those of us writing in Brussels wrote the truth. It was not you. It was them. And I'm still sorry it happened. I feel terrible. I feel terrible for
So I told you we're going to have a very, spirited discussion here. So thank you
Wait
for
for
the
NATO,
great,
though.
yeah.
Everybody's so NATO in December is going to be a big party.
So we're going to talk about NATO later and how important it is. But maybe, Ms. Joeva, from your perspective, you're part of EU. True. So give us your perspective about the enlargement and discussions that are happening there.
I couldn't agree more with your facts. And I can also say it was them, it was France. It was not us. You have to know that the majority, as you said, the majority is really pro enlargement, and it was very hard for the rest of us to sit and watch, and we couldn't do anything, unfortunately. I'm in the same political group as Macron's party, and I'm trying my best. I'm one of the loudest persons, if I may say, in the group when there are talks about enlargement and North Macedonia and the rest of the Western Balkan states. But I have a feeling with them that, as you said, they don't care if it's North Macedonia or Albania or whatever. They just decided that it brings them some political points, I guess, in the country, and they decided they want to be in charge of this and that they will say no whatever happens. So it's very hard to convince them, but I think that the main thing now is to stay, rational and to put the feelings aside. Of course, we are angry. I'm also, disappointed. Not only as a politician, but, as a, normal human being who knows how it is when you do everything that was asked from you and then you get nothing in exchange. So it's not the beginning yet, but it's also not the end. We have to know that it's not an apocalypse or the end of the world, so we have to have that in our minds and what's done is done, unfortunately. So we just have to look forward to the next month, and also North Macedonia should not give up, if I may say so, and just try doing its best, or even more, if it's possible, to show France and Macron, you were wrong. We are better. We are even more better now than we were before, and we deserve it even more than before. So we will try to do our best to change that, and I think that we will succeed in the end.
So I know that Andrew also covers this topic very closely because the organization that he's focused on is a think tank that really focuses on what is called Emerging Europe. So roughly 20-plus countries that came from the Soviet bloc, former Yugoslavian countries that now are part of the European Union. Some of them, if not most of them, have been, accepted. So what is your perception? A lot of the discussions, and I think how we as Macedonians felt, why is the rules changing? The world is not fair. What is your perspective of this?
So I think the first thing that I need to say that I've come from London. So in London, I would say, or in the UK, 90% of the debate is actually about Brexit. So it's nothing about North Macedonia joining the EU. it's only about Brexit. But I think what I would like to echo would be Günther Verheugen's words. And he said, I believe 2 years ago, when he joined one of our events, that we are in Europe. All the countries have the right to be in Europe. They have the right to be in the integrated part of the continent. There is no one who has any right to deny that right to them. So I think that in the situation that we are right now, we need to take into account 2 points. The waiting now might result in reforms being stopped or slowed down. But also, there is another danger. We have, obviously, Russia and China looking at the region as well. So if, it might be a signal for them to see that, well, the EU is perhaps not really interested in the Western Balkans. So I think that the European Union should look at enlargement from that perspective primarily.
No, you're bringing exactly the point where I was going to go next, so thank you for leading into the next question, which is NATO. So I agree with you that we are probably more vulnerable now, for different forces coming into our region, and particularly, obviously, our country, in terms of deterring us, if you will, from the path maybe that we were on. And we all obviously have interest not to necessarily go there. So how important is the NATO process to make sure that we stay on course? So Terry, you want to kickstart with that?
Sure. I actually spend a lot more time at NATO than I do at EU headquarters because I write for US media. It is really important that you stay the course, but not because of NATO. I'm often disappointed in how little NATO seems to impress on its members, and we can all think of some examples at the moment about human rights, economic reforms, those kind of things. I mean, they matter because you have to be a strong ally or you wouldn't get into NATO. But I think what's important for you to show now is not for NATO, but for yourselves. And I have trouble remembering this myself. It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. And you cannot backslide. And I have heard that there seems to be sort of a bit of a lack of ambition now, feeling like, well, we did it all, and why continue? But you cannot, with your economic reforms, with your corruption reforms, with your rule of law. As Ambassador Burns pointed out, you need to be seen as a magnificent destination for business. And you know what? If that were true, then EU, let's be successful for us. And you cannot control what happens in Brussels. You cannot control, if it's not France, maybe another country will use this veto. Do not even think about that. Do it for you because you have the assets here. And when I hear from people working in economic management programs that since the rejection, there seems to be sort of I don't care as much anymore, do not let that happen. Don't do it for NATO. You're in. I mean, God, we presume that you're in. And that's important to protect you. But do not play this Russia card. Do not make allies think that maybe you're vulnerable, because you need to not be vulnerable for you. And we all know what happens. We've seen them play in elections. Montenegro has had a horrible experience, and we know it's happened here. Be strong for you. Be reformed for you.
So, great. You're leading me into the next question, the panelists. So, how then should we think about this Balkan Union that has been presented to us? It's almost a consolation prize, if you will. And is it from an economic perspective, and it will be great to hear, obviously, for Mr. Montanelli, economic growth is stalling everywhere in the world. Trade tensions between China and U.S. are, it's basically the news effect is, Germany coming into recession pretty much this quarter. And we are already economically struggling. And how is that going to affect us? The economic union that's presented through this Balkan partnership certainly can be positive, but where I sensed and what is represented in the media is that, well, what if we just take this card, economically maybe short and near term, medium term might be good, is this it for us? So maybe you can comment on that, but I would like all panelists to comment on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe after the opening from the other panelists, I should clarify I'm Italian and not French, just from the very beginning. But Okay. Having said that, no, indeed, jokes aside, indeed, I just came back from the annual meetings of the World Bank and the IMF, and I must say that even at parties where alcohol was flowing, the mood was not very uplifting.
Yeah.
And some of the issues discussed are the one we're discussing here. I think the big word was uncertainty, trade disputes, orderly exit, Brexit exits, some signs of stress in some country, even in the region, Turkey, for example, financial, etc. So the big word was uncertainty, and how is this depressing investment decision and other factors that fuel economies. I mean, we are seeing, you will have seen that the IMF and the World Bank have decreased their expectation for growth, but that happens. What is more worrisome is the assumptions on which we base that growth will resume going forward. And there are trade disputes will now become worse, or they will be solved. UK will find, and Europe will find an orderly way to handle that. Emerging economies like Macedonia will contribute more to growth than they did in past years, because the West and China are decreasing. So those are assumptions that carry some risks. So I don't want to be the party pooper, but there are some concerns about the future. So now, you alluded to the, well, I wouldn't call it union if I understand what is being discussed.
But that's the sort of, if you will, the speculation.
What can country do? Particularly small countries that will be in a way or the other affected by this. I think that thinking about, let me find the right word, not to be, facilitating trade and transport is a good idea. And in the Balkans, it will be always interpreted, oh, but it's Albanian tomatoes, Serbian ivar, and things like that. But in reality, it's less, no, I know, but I'm sorry. I know where ivar comes from. I want to step on a big minefield, but I read it in the paper, and those were the debate. The debate was between Albanian tomato and Serbian ivar. So, having said that, these are hidden costs that go beyond the trade disputes. You build a highway from Thessaloniki to the border, etc. You shave half an hour, and then trucks sit at the border forever. So finding ways to decrease this cost, facilitate trade, should benefit everyone. I'm leaving politics out. So there are other things that can happen, but this could be a concrete way to cope with a scenario that is not extremely positive.
Great. Terry, what's your view? How should we read into the proposal for more collaboration between our neighbor countries and ourselves?
I'm not I don't know the intricate details of that, having been in Brussels, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to increase your opportunity, because again, we need to look at how you improve your position regardless of what happens in the bigger picture, which you cannot control. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think you need to play your politics carefully, and North Macedonia has a lot going on right now with elections coming up, and I think your politicians need to be very responsible about what they're doing and not be just thinking about re-election, but thinking about the long game. And as long as that happens, I mean, and people are careful and not playing into political dead ends or political traps. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. But again, I don't know the specifics on this as well as I would know what's happening in Brussels.
So, Irena, from your perspective, I think the concern here is that's been presented to us as a waiting room. And is the waiting room going to be for us the permanent choice then? What is your view?
Just maybe first about the Balkan Union.
Yes,
I also don't like the word union, because it creates as itself like a place for conspiracy theories even more, because then you can say, oh, okay, we'll have our own union. That's not okay. But the cooperation is okay, and of course it's even better. But it should be like a one step ahead towards the European Union as itself, and not union,
on its own.
A different one, yeah. About the waiting room. I think North Macedonia waited enough. 15 years, it's like...
basically, it's a home. It's not a waiting room anymore.
Yeah. European Union has its problems, of course, we all know. Macron didn't, it's not his idea that we need reforms. Of course we need reforms. But I think that the enlargement process and the reforms should go hand in hand, and they should not exclude one another. I think that what EU should do now should maybe communicate better with people here, you know, so because European Union is involved here. I mean, we lost credibility here, but we didn't lose the political power, I think, yet for now. So we don't have, we cannot let that happen. So we have to communicate better so that people will know and feel that the Union, the European or Brussels or whatever is here still, and that, you know, as I said before, it's not the end of the world, and I think that, I mean, France will not be able to go like forever with
this position,
its arguments. So yeah.
So Andrew, I know you're eager to comment as well.
Yeah, I would like to say a couple of words about the regional union. So I think that I would strongly encourage more regional cooperation, but by regional I mean with countries that have already joined the European Union. For example, you know, Poland, Hungary, Romania, because if you look at what is actually happening in this part of Europe, is that those two regions are sort of set apart. And I think even if you try to, if you're looking for flights from Poland, for instance, to North Macedonia, it's really difficult to, you know, fly directly. So I think I would encourage cooperation and collaboration on this, in this field here.
Do you want to comment, please?
You know, just to complement that, again, I don't think we should use the word union, but strictly from the economic point of view, it makes a lot of sense in the Western Balkans to break down these barriers to expand the market within the Western Balkans. There's space for intra-regional trade, unexploited. It is my hope, will also help create a more political conducive environment from the markets up. So in that sense, it's important. Of course, every time we present things as Union, former Yugoslavia, etc., there are knee-jerk reactions. I also represent Kosovo, and I know that the whole idea was rejected by many of the politicians there, because they perceive it more as a political initiative than as an economic initiative.
I want to shift course a little bit and talk about immigration. A lot of the discussions and the fear, and I think among the parents in the room, has been, well, for us, this stalling process of not becoming member, you know, fully pledged member country of the European Union is going to make our children fly more out of the country. Which may be or may not be true, indeed. Certainly, I think I'm an immigrant. I left for, you know, for our passion, to realize myself, and I would say that didn't necessarily leave because Macedonia is part of EU or anything else. You know, I think we live in a global village, and from our perspective, you know, we should be, and our youth should be considering themselves being part of that global village and realize themselves global on a global stage. So, but I know, Andrew, you've been writing a lot of these issues and observation of how immigration has, you know, has happened, if you will, from the youth, not just of countries that are waiting for European Union entrance, but also the ones who are already there. Yeah.
Yeah. So over the last few months, we ran a survey among 10,000 students across 23 countries of our region. These students are aged between 19 and 24. And we asked them what are the biggest problems they notice in the region and in their own country. So the things that were actually got the biggest number of hits were corruption, number one by far. The second one was low economic growth. Also welfare, not really, you know, the level that most of them would expect. And options that, and so that's a solution sort of. We later asked them, you know, what they would like to do with their lives once they graduate. So a third actually wants to leave the country for good, their country for good. Two-thirds, roughly two-thirds, say that they want to explore their options, maybe come back or maybe, perhaps stay where they are. So these results, unfortunately, are not really positive. And it's not only Macedonia, it's also, Poland, it's also Romania. I don't know if you are familiar with the Romanian statistics, but since Romania joined the European Union, about 40% of young people have left the country, which is a huge number.
It's quite a dramatic number, yeah.
So what we've been trying to look at as well is how governments are actually tackling that issue. And what we've noticed is that in most cases, governments have no idea why those people are actually leaving. So some of them are, like, let me give you an example from Poland. Recently, the government introduced zero tax for all people who are under 26 who are fully employed. So the funny thing here is that it's not for entrepreneurs, but it's only for people who are employed. So the idea here behind that was to attract, the migrants from the UK, for instance. But if you think about it, how many migrants in the UK are actually under 26? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. So, but also, instead of actually thinking how to encourage, entrepreneurial spirit, for example, they put the focus only on those who are fully employed, as opposed to actually attract those who have something.
Who want to create necessarily in the business.
So
yeah.
I think that what we should start with is definitely learn why the people want to leave, what the problems are, and only then come up with solutions. That is something that is
Marco,
missing.
the World Bank did a study on this issue. We're going to comment a little bit from your findings and how important it is to our country.
Very briefly, I agree with Andrew. It's not just salary differentials that drives people leaving. More importantly than that is the prospect of life on the medium term. Do I have education systems, health system, corrupt, meritocracy, etc.? It's the whole of it. It's not just salaries. Let's put that out. Second point I would like to make, immigration is not all bad. And countries, well, we have a room here of an example, diasporas, remittances, foreign direct investments, technology exchange. So let's not mark it only as a bad thing. There are advantages in that. The third, it's not just, governments should not just looking at blocking immigration, because it's a bit like, sands in your hands. You cannot fully do it. You can up to a point. It's how to cope with it. And in the Western Balkans, how to cope with it goes through women. 50% of women are inactive. So you lose skills, bring your women to the labor markets and fill those skills.
Very interesting. Yay. Women power. Yes. Would you like to add, Ariana, more on this issue?
Yeah, maybe just, as you said, immigration is normal. We will never, stop it. For the kids, it's fortunately, but for their parents, of course, it's maybe less fortunately, but it's normal. It's also happening in Slovenia. It's not like it's happening only in Western Balkan states. But the focus should be from the governments how to convince those young people who go abroad to come back. That's the main thing, how to make the country more attractive to them, so they would wish to come back. I mean, it's nothing wrong if they go, but the best thing would be if they come back. So that's the main thing that the governments should do, I think.
Terry, any comments from you?
Just one comment. If corruption is the #1 concern, I actually find that really encouraging. Because everybody's admitting now that it's there and it's a huge problem. And if these governments are so puzzled about this, let's get serious about tackling corruption and not just have window dressing for this. That seems to me that would be a positive thing for the entire region. I don't think they should be confused about that. There needs to be some serious measures. And then maybe your young people will think they have a future that is not the family business of corruption.
Absolutely.
So just one comment at the end. The countries that young people want to go to right now, according to the survey, are Scandinavian countries. These are the top ones. The UK is now number 2, then Germany, and France is like around 20% would indicate France.
So what are the key drivers that takes them there, you think?
Yeah, so I think it is quite interesting to see that Scandinavia is actually, maybe that's the model that they are looking at.
Fabulous.
And I think in the latest, some of the research that's been out there, and broadly speaking, as part of the environmental issues that our country has been battling with, I think that is also noted as a key driver for many families, in addition to the corruption. And I think I just want to point that this is one of the key subjects of the summit this year about let's make sure that we tackle the environmental issues, because we cannot ignore that a lot of the environmental issues can also be linked to corruption in the system as well.
Can I just say one more thing? That seems to me to be a huge opportunity for civil society to work on the grassroots level of corruption. Maybe the governments aren't willing to tackle it at the moment or not doing it well enough. But if you have large organizations, and Macedonia 2025 can be one of those that helps, you need to help young people feel that something can be done. Because sometimes even I as a journalist feel overwhelmed by how you would start to do these things. But it's people in this room who can help young people feel empowered and actually challenge the status quo that is not willing to give up their stranglehold.
So I think we identify the issues, at least on a broader scale, of what's happening, I think, in the region, broadly in Europe and globally, and also identifying some of the key issues like corruption, environmental issues, slow economic growth. I would like to spend the next 10 minutes maybe starting with comments actually what works. What kind of reforms have you seen that we can take as an example that can potentially help us and guide our government into the right direction? So anybody who wants to take the first question? Yeah, okay.
I can give you the nerdy World Bank and funny answer about it. I would say, particularly in crisis or turbulence like this, small economies, we would advise them to focus on the basics at this stage, both for two reasons. One, build resilience, so capacity to handle the storm if it comes, and to signal that you may be a different destination for investment and other things. Basics means macro and fiscal, create some fiscal buffers while the Western Balkans are still growing above the average in this. Unfortunately, it's mostly consumption driven, not investment, etc. So build the basic, create some fiscal space and protect it. Strengthen the performance of your public spending, so quality.
Can you maybe, just for benefit of the non-nerdy banker types here, just to create that fiscal space, how can the fiscal space be created?
Well, that's the hard part. But I'll make a generalization. The Western Balkans have one of the lowest revenue per GDP in the region, so there is a revenue agenda there. There is also an efficiency of spending agenda. There are some wasted money in the public sector. I'm talking about the public sector side. So that's the way to build it. We are not discouraging, however, investment, because public spending in the Western Balkans is heavily on recurrent expenditure. It's underperforming on public investments. The region needs infrastructure, needs investment that bring back. And in a situation where interest rates are quite low, you can do that without affecting too much your debt, right? Because you're borrowing money. So that's one. The second basic maybe is more for the private sector. We noticed that in the Western Balkans in particular, managerial capabilities are not very sophisticated. And I wonder what collectively the private sector can do to strengthen. You need capable manager connected regionally and internationally if you want to engage. So, two messages out of the hat.
And I just want to emphasize that we as Macedonia 2025 are particularly focused, and our programs have been focused on building those leadership capabilities. As part of the Zafirovsky program, we've been training more than almost 40 senior executives in Macedonia, the top business school in the world, Kellogg School of Business. We have mid-level management trainings, the Schuller School of Business in Canada. So this is exactly where we're focused on, because you can be given the revenues, you can give decent fiscal policies that can be, but but if you don't have execution, force on the ground, that will be hard to execute. So I think it's a great point and very much aligned with our mission. Anything from you, closing remarks and guidance for us?
I will talk from the EU perspective. There are a lot of talks now about the conference of the future of Europe that will emerge on some point in the Parliament or in the European Union. And I think that if we are talking about the future of Europe, that we should include Western Balkan states in the talks about that, because the Western Balkan states are the future of Europe. So I think the reforms, the Western Balkan states should be included in the reforms process of the European Union. So that's from my perspective, as a member of the European Parliament, I think that we should do that.
And I would like to point Lagarde, who is obviously former head of the IMF, now new European Central Bank governor. The same comments that Andrew made in terms of Marco made, that we should be investing in infrastructure as a first speech as part of her ECB agenda. She actually pointed to Germany and to the fiscally tight countries, make sure you start spending. We need Europe to spend. We need to spend in productive projects and infrastructure. So the issues, what I'm trying to say here, the issues that we are battling in our own micro world of Macedonia and the region, etc., are something that the European continent is battling broadly, and similar solutions, in line with what you said, should be, and similar reforms should be taking place in parallel. Andrew.
Well, I would say the country should invest a little bit more in soft powers. We probably remember a few months ago, how many people searched for North Macedonia when a Macedonian singer joined the Eurovision. So I think things like that would definitely help,
a brand name, if you will.
Yeah, but speaking more seriously, I think I would look at countries like Lithuania and Estonia. So Estonia, everybody associates Estonia with technology. When it comes to, and that is a driver for Estonians to also come back to the country. When it comes to Lithuania, they've invested a lot in promoting the business services sector. So it's anything related to BPO and shared services. And a lot of foreign companies have come to invest in the country. They've developed a couple of sandboxes for fintech startups, for prop tech startups. So I think that this is a way going forward for Macedonia as well, where the talent is here.
Terry?
I would just urge everyone to not overlook nor underestimate the importance of, as you help develop these responsible managers, please work on responsible journalism. Because no matter what, no matter how many reforms that you are seeding, S-E-E-D here, if you don't have a responsible free press here in North Macedonia, you are not amplifying your work. You are hurting everyone. I was here a few years ago doing a training for Macedonian and Kosovo journalists with former Ambassador Phil Rieker, and I was overwhelmed at how bad the situation was, how difficult it was to try to train working journalists in the mindset of a free press. And I just spoke with Ambassador Burns about it, and she said it's much better now that journalists are tackling corruption. But please think, when you're investing in projects, please think about working on journalism at the same time, because you can't move forward without it. And you won't even know when you're getting there unless people are writing about these things. I'm actually encouraged by the fact that she says they're writing about nothing but corruption. I mean, it's better than the converse of that. But please, work on journalism. I'm always happy to help. I talk to students all the time and empower them and encourage them to take this very difficult field. But please think about that when you're investing. I think it needs to go hand in hand, and you will see the payoff. Thanks.
So in summary, what we heard here is, don't be discouraged, don't deter from our European Union and NATO ambitions. Let's make sure we continue in strong reforms that will happen in parallel with the European Union reforms, spending constructive projects that will benefit our GDP and growth, invest in your managements, invest in the freedom of speech and power of press. So thank you very much. Great panel. Thank you. So from the macro stage, we move now to the economic stage with Nikita. So thank you.
Everybody stay in your seats. We're just going to get the next panel up here shortly. One next round of applause again. Thank you guys so much. Welcome back, Nikita. This is going to be our next panel. We're talking here about Southeastern Europe, rising uncertainties or a brighter future. So, Nikita, take it away.
Thank you. I'm just confused. I'm missing one of the panelists. I'm not sure. So thank you everyone for being here. Now from another perspective, let me talk more about economics. It's what I like, what I enjoy. This panel is, actually we originally wanted to have one panel with Anna. Probably we'll reach there, we'll come there. But then we thought, okay, there are so many issues to discuss. Yes, the region or regional economic trends, but we cannot discuss regional economic trends without looking at the geopolitics. Unfortunately, it kind of rules the world. So I would start, and I think so the panel title is not here, but we started with the panel title of Regional Economic Trends, and then when we started to prepare, both me and my panelists were like, okay, that doesn't say anything. So let's go and be more focused, be more specific. And then we say, reading all different reports, it's either what we call rising uncertainties or brighter future. So we will discuss whether there are rising uncertainties or brighter future, but probably it's not and, it's more like or what we can do to adjust to these rising uncertainties and make a better future, brighter future. I would first start with giving some overview of what regional economics is saying. Okay, now I can relax and start really. This was just kind of, buying some time. So unemployment in Western Balkans is declining. That's good news. We've seen that also on the table for Macedonia, so declining unemployment. But I would also mention something that Marco Mantovanelli mentioned. It's good, but what's missing is inactivity, high inactivity especially among females. So, having employers complain about lack of workers, this is probably the pathway on how to set that problem, how to address it. Economic growth is slowing down in the Western Balkan region, unfortunately. The exceptions are Kosovo and Macedonia, but yesterday we conveyed several messages as an organization, and these messages are, well, 3.8, great, but is that really what will take us to higher living standard? No, probably we need much higher growth rates. External imbalances are rising, started to rise, and I would also mention here the slowdown in Germany, which is our main trading partner, which will certainly affect growth rate in Macedonia. And the economic outlook for 2020 and 2021 is moderately positive, we would say moderately positive, but there are, as I mentioned, rising uncertainties with all the things that are happening globally or in the geopolitics sphere. Then we need to, as a region, strengthen public finances, but also improve competitiveness And we have to focus more on productivity. I know that, from political or from politicians' view or perspective, we are saying wages are rising, that's great, living standard is rising, but economists know that without rising productivity, this is not sustainable. It's not good. So I would start the panel with the lady that is sitting on the panel, the first female governor of our central bank. Anita, thank you for coming and accepting our offer. We've worked together for quite a long time, with Anita starting the Ministry of Finance a long time ago. And my questions to Anita will be mainly as a governor, but I would also like to ask her a few questions as macroeconomist. I would like to congratulate actually in my view, we have a little bit changed monetary policy, or how the central bank undertakes or plans or implements monetary policy. I must say that we are seeing economic policy, monetary policy, which is more geared towards the economic growth, and I'm happy to hear that. But again, as a macroeconomist, what is your view on the economy? How would you assess the economy? Recently, the central bank announced the GDP actually projections for GDP growth rate. But in general, how would you say how our economy is doing? And I must say here that if you hear politicians, they're saying this is the economic year. So what is your view on that?
Okay, thank you, Nikita. Thank you for the nice words, but also thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure, my pleasure being here and discussing some fundamental issues that touch upon the prospects, future prospects on our economy. Let me take a little bit longer term view. I will, for a moment, abstain for discussing cyclical development, short-term developments, and look more deeply what are the fundamental factors and what are the fundamentals of our economy. So our economy, as you know, is a small and open economy that has relatively well weathered the global economic crisis with a growth of average close to 3%, which reflects a couple of factors, including prudent policies before the crisis, low vulnerabilities that will build up before the crisis, and this, of course, allowed a room for conducting counter-cyclical policies to alleviate all the external shocks that we, as a small economy, faced, and we will always face. So it was very good comment that Mantomanelli mentioned. Small economies have to be double careful. So all this provided a room for expansionary policies, and what does this mean from the point of view of the convergence? Nikita showed one very nice slide, and it was not much encouraging, but still, if I look dynamically, what was the speed of convergence before the crisis and speed of the convergence after the crisis, I can say that the speed increased after the crisis, which reflects the structural changes of the economies, policies, and so on. However, unfortunately, because the basis is so low, we are currently just about 37% of the EU income level, which is, of course, not enough. What does it imply? It implies that we have to have stronger growth dynamics, because only with the stronger growth dynamics we can accelerate the income convergence. Where do we stand now? Looking, let's say, IMF's projection for our growth prospects in the medium term, roughly 3, slightly above 3%. Looking at the EU projections, growth projections, 1.5 to 2%, it shows that, yes, there will be further income convergence by simple accounting framework, right? But it will not be enough. Maybe after 5 years, we will be 40% of the EU income level, but that's not enough. So what do we need now to increase the growth dynamics, to accelerate? We need to touch upon fundamental issues. We need to lift the potential of the growth of our economy. And how can we lift the potential of the growth of our economy? It's clear, we all know that we need structural reforms that will positively affect the key 3 long-term determinants of the growth: labor, physical capital, and total factor productivity. Let me just briefly you allow me, because of the time, touch upon the main challenges in each of these three segments. First, labor. Unlike many other European economies that are facing with shrinking working age population, we're slightly better. We still have increase, but the increase is decelerating. The pace is decelerating. In the last couple of years, increase was just 0.1%. According to the World Bank projections, what can we expect? They are, I would say, pessimistic, maybe realistic. Who knows if this trend continues, that the share of working age population by 2050 will decline from 70 to 60%. Additionally, and why is this happening? Major two factors: demographics and immigration, which means structural factors which will continue to weigh on the growth prospects. On top of this, if we have that, according to some estimates, 1/3 of the immigration is high-skilled labor, it means that this is the problem not just for the quantity of the labor, but this is also a problem of the quality, which is clearly visible to any indicators that we can look at, for example, human capital index or a skills segment of the global competitive index. So a lot of challenges along this way. Briefly for the capital. In the post-crisis period, in Southern Eastern European economies, investment ratios plunged, reflecting outflow of capitals and not enough domestic savings to offset or compensate for the outflows that are taking place. However, we, together with Poland and Albania, were in some way outliers because investments in the last decade, if I look at the data, has been solid on a comparative terms. Still, given the low level of the capital stock that we have, it's not enough. We are still significantly lagging behind the EU stock level. This is evident in the case of the public stock of capital, but also in the segment of the private stock of the capital. Even more emphasized in the segment of the private capital, where our capital stock accounts only 22% of EU average. This is per capita data. And in the segment of the public stock, 45%. So a lot of challenges. Again, we need to step up with investments because they affect not just the short-term prospects, they affect also the long-term prospects of the economy. And just 2 sentences about the total factor of productivity. I'm running out of time, I guess.
Time is ticking, so
yeah,
making pressure on us.
But I know Nikita well, so I have a bit privileged on this. Just 2 sentences. I mean, productivity. Our productivity is significantly lagging behind the European productivity. Let me just put comparison with Germany. Our productivity is just 42% of the German productivity. It clearly points to a lot of institutional and structural aspects that need to be dealt so that we can deal successfully with all these obstacles and create a good potential to grow with a stronger dynamics and thus have a stronger accelerated income convergence. Sorry, Nikita.
No, thank you. Very nice summary of, yeah, absolutely, not just current economy, but what's the future, because we really want to discuss the future. I think previous panelists were clear that we have to deal with what we have now, but prepare well for the future and move fast. So then I would introduce Peter Tabak. So Peter Tabak is Assistant Director and Chief Regional Economist at EBRD. So I think, or why we invited Peter here is to show us the examples, or first to discuss what are the options for the region from a perspective of, from bird-eye perspective, and also given the experience you are from Hungary, and you would tell us a little bit more what we can learn from this convergence process or accession process of the previous or new member states, but also from a perspective of EBRD, because EBRD has a role to kind of connect the businesses. So what can we do? What are the options for the region? And again, drawing on this previous discussion on geopolitics, the region, we are not there, how to integrate better.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. And I very much agree with what the governor was saying before. So the most important thing is to focus on productivity. So basically that's the key issue. And the Western Balkans countries have, of course, still lower productivity than Germany or other parts of the Eurozone, but the wage levels are also lower. So there are quite a lot of sectors where Western Balkans countries, including North Macedonia, can be productive, but only if these countries can use those modern technologies which raise the productivity in the long term. So it's very important to focus further on attracting foreign direct investment, which is basically helping to increase productivity. And Macedonia has been very much in the forefront position. But there is much more to be done, and definitely the Central and Eastern European countries are showing some good examples. So first of all, it's very important to focus on continuing with the reforms which make the country more attractive for foreign direct investment, but not only for foreign direct investment, also for the local investment, local investors. So it's very important not to distinguish between foreign investors and local investors, but to provide the same good conditions for doing business, and that can help to create a vibrant local entrepreneur community as well. The other very important thing, and that's an important lesson from Central and Eastern Europe, is focusing on the public infrastructure. Of course, roads, railways, and the transport infrastructure is very important. Motorways, as much as possible, because they definitely lower the time to reach the most important markets. But as it was mentioned earlier, the soft infrastructure is also very important. How fast is it to cross the borders? So that's where the Western Balkans can do much more to reduce the transit times on the borders. And later on, of course, it's more and more important to focus on the quality of life, and that was also mentioned earlier. So the communal infrastructure, but also the healthcare and education, which is basically creating happier people, happier population, but also keeps people better skilled and better, more ready for productive work. So you also asked about EBRD activities where we can help. So we are helping in many respects, and basically we are helping both creating regional links, like with creating regional business registry just recently together with Serbia, where North Macedonia has been the second joiner, and hopefully other countries will join. Also creating a link between the regional stock exchanges through this C-Link platform, which is helping investors to reach the regional stock exchanges easier and faster. But we focus very much also on the traditional transport infrastructure, building roads, like the Kriva Palanka road connecting with Bulgaria, or railways, or the energy transmission between, for example, North Macedonia and Albania. But it's also very important, and potentially even more important, to focus on the soft issues, like improving the governance and improving how the public administration is working. We are focusing very much on the inspections reform in Serbia, now also in Albania, so making inspections less intrusive for entrepreneurs. I've talked about the quality of life, how important it is. So we invest a lot in green cities, for example, helping Skopje buy new gas-powered buses and reducing the air pollution, or improving the wastewater treatment also in Skopje. Inclusion was mentioned also, so raising the female labor force. We are also helping to raise or helping women entrepreneurs. So we have a Women in Business program, which is helping women to get financing from the banks easier. and we focus very much on youth inclusion, because youth unemployment is also quite high in the Western Balkans. So whenever we are working with companies who are ready to take interns, we are helping this to happen. And last but not least, SME access to finance. So we have a lot of SME financing programs through the banking system, of course, mostly because they have better reach to the SMEs, but not only through direct access to finance, but helping SMEs to become more financeable. So we are providing services, advisory services, which make these SMEs more competitive and help them to get financing from the banks easier.
Thank you, Peter. Then on the panel we have Sebastian Sosa. And when we invited Sebastian, he was resident representative to Serbia of IMF, but also to Macedonia. In meantime, he's just IMF representative to Serbia, not to Macedonia. And I must say that I'm actually happy for that, because he can speak now more honestly about our economy. And I even wrote to his notes, like, please go out of the shoes of IMF representative and let's discuss, so what would be your view, like kind of a snapshot of Macedonian economy, because you were closely following it until recently, I would say, but also the region, because you have this also perspective of Serbia. And so I would also love to have Marco Antovanelli on this panel, but we had to somehow split the panelists. So that would be nice perspective, both World Bank and IMF. Sebastian, what can you say? What is most important for the future? So, it's, future.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here again. And so I would say that the key challenges that the North Macedonian economy is facing are similar to those facing other countries in the region. So I do see a lot of similar reform agendas across the region. Mm-hmm. So, in a nutshell, so if you look at the region as a whole, what we see is that a lot has been achieved in terms of improving, strengthening macroeconomic stability, and also containing macroeconomic imbalances. So broadly speaking, macro balances are under control. You see economic activity expanding across the region, unemployment coming down, inflation has been very low and stable in most countries in the region. The financial sectors are sound. So we do see progress in terms of macro and financial stability, and we are also seeing economic growth. However, this growth, as was mentioned before in this panel and in the previous panel, is not strong enough to ensure a faster income convergence. So simply put, if you look at the trends in income convergence with EU income levels, there was a sort of increasing trend up to the global financial crisis, but since then, basically this convergence has stalled or progressed at very, very small pace. So I would say that the main challenge for North Macedonia, but for other countries in the region as well, is to address the underlying structural vulnerabilities of these economies that are basically blocking faster medium and long-term growth. And what are these constraints? Very briefly, because one of them has been already mentioned here and in the previous panel as well, poor infrastructure. So there are still very large infrastructure gaps in terms of quantity, but also in terms of quality. When you look at transportation, energy, telecommunications, there is a big potential here. And I will not get into details, but just want to mention one issue related to infrastructure, so which I think is let's say a challenge for the region, which is, first, typically these infrastructure projects entail a lot of budget resources. So for some countries in the region where public debt is already high or it has been increasing, this will become more of a challenge. But the second one is that the region needs to invest quite a lot in terms of strengthening public investment management frameworks. So the ability to identify good projects, select them, do proper project appraisal, implementing them and do monitoring ex post is very, very important. And in many countries in the Western Balkans, this capacity is still not there. The Second point I wanted to mention, and it has not been mentioned before, and I think it's very important one, is most countries in the Western Balkans still have a very large grey economy, informal sector.
Yeah.
This is
Nice point.
this is let's say, big constraint for these economies because it first has negative implications for doing businesses to the extent that it creates unfair competition to formal companies, and it also is a drag on fiscal resources. So tackling the informal sector, which ranges, estimates are all over the place, but for across the region, these estimates about the size of the grey economy range from 25% up to 40%. So really, tackling informality is a key priority. And the third, let's say, structural weakness in the region is the relatively poor institutions and governance. So I cannot, let's say, highlight enough the importance of improving governance, rule of law, contract enforceability, the efficiency of the judicial system. This, when you look at, let's say, doing business rankings, I mean, the region has made progress in many areas. Many areas we see sustained progress across the region. But there is one area in which the region is still lagging behind, and it's precisely the area of rule of law, contract enforceability, stronger governance and institutions. And this is important not only to improve the business environment, but also to basically create more incentives for younger, talented people to stay in the country. And this leads me to the final point I wanted to make, which I think is the most challenging headwinds to medium-term growth in the country, but also in the region with these demographic trends. I mean, both because of low fertility rates, aging population, increasing migration, especially among the young, talented people. This, of course, has a negative impact on the labor force, according to some projections we are looking at. Total population in the region will fall by basically 10% over the next 3 decades, but working age population in particular will decline even faster than that. So this will clearly be headwinds to medium-term growth. And in order to tackle this, I would just mention two important elements. One, I would echo Marco's point earlier in the panel when he mentioned that it's very important to mitigate the negative impact on a shrinking labor force, for example, by making use of the existing working age population. Basically, this means increasing the very low labor participation rates among women, but also in some countries in the region also among elder workers, probably thinking about increasing the retirement age may also help in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for actually bringing out this point of grey economy, which we didn't mention previously, which really hurts then the incentive for formal businesses, and probably there are a lot of lost revenues for the governments in the region, which could be then used for improving public services, healthcare, education, and so on. And I hope that this or future governments will actually really try to address the issue of, although we have in Macedonia a strategy for formalization of grey economy, we are not progressing fast into implementing the strategy. Председателя Бранко Азевски. Филозофиравме много.
Не, добро е што сте добро расположена за дале.
Благодариме. We need some headphones. Yeah. Извинете, знаев, од почеток на панелот знаев дека ќе имаме проблем со ова, не можев никако да се снајдам, ама тоа е тоа. Да ве прашам најпрво, нема да почнам со мал Шенген прашањето, ќе почнам со прашањето. Најавени се нови парламентарни избори во април. За некој тоа е долг период до изборите, за некој е краток период до изборите, меѓутоа за бизнисот сигурно сум дека е долг период. Дали може да креираме услови бизнисот да размислува на долг рок? Што е тоа што е заедничко, што можеме, значи без разлика која влада, тоа малку го кажав и во говорот, што може да се креираат како предуслови за бизнисот едноставно да врви, народски кажано.
Добро да ве поздравам сите. добро е што господинот Битов после мене дојде, значи од вашите има некој што. Џон. Поздрав.
Џон. Во Канада се доцни
некоја
некоја
минута. Во секој случај, вистинско прашање, во вистинско време, јас сум добар на бројки и ќе кажам дека ова ќе бидат 9 парламентарни избори предвремени. Или не знам како ги викаат пред време што се одржуваат. Тоа доволно кажува за тоа каква држава сме и како се однесуваме на почетокот на градењето на демократијата во овие 30 години, затоа што мене тоа како човек што се занимава со оваа дејност ми личи на нешто ванредно. Кога ќе речат до некоја земја ванредни избори и предвремени избори, тоа личи нешто ванредно. А веројатно ние сме во ванредна ситуација сигурно 30 години на овој начин. Али прва слика што ми излегува на памет кога ќе кажат тие избори за кај нас, ми излегува сликата во Грција, нашиот сосед, кога ќе се изборите во недела, а во понеделник во 10 часот ќе објават снимка дека мандатарот станува претседател на влада и положува заклетва пред претседателот и пред веројатно некој црковно лице, архиепископот или не знам што, тоа е слика. И секогаш се прашувам зошто не одиме да прашаме како тоа е можно дента после изборите да се конституира власта и да продолжи да функционира, а кај нас за тоа треба 3 месеци 4. Значи не е проблемот во изборите. Изборите се демократска алатка и они морат да се одржуваат. Ние не можеме како бизнес да речеме ни сметаат и не треба да бидат. Него тие треба да бидат организирани на ефикасен начин. Тоа значи да бидат предизборните кампањи многу кратки, ефикасни, изборите да се одржат на сосема легитимен начин и другиот ден да почне да си функционира све и тогаш не би имало никаков проблем. Ние чак имаме, знаат добро бизнисмените и ограничувачки фактори, некои 3 месеци па не смееш тендери да се распишуваат, па не знам, тамо други работи и така натаму. Така да нашата порака до политичките елити и до јавноста е за изборите да тие се градат по некој нордиски терк, затоа што кај нас е останато во сеќавање дека нордискиот модел е модел што уопште во држави на било какви избори не влија и не прави пресија на никого, ни на граѓанинот, ни да фирмите и дека тоа треба да биде она кон кое што треба да се стремиме. А мислам и дека треба да одат до Грција да прашат како се организираат.
Благодарам. Вчера со Стопанската комора на Македонија подпишавме меморандум за соработка, меѓутоа уште поважно на тој панел зборувавме за Коморскиот инвестициски форум. Тоа е значи иницијатива преку која коморите од земјите од Западен Балкан се поврзуваат со цел да направат, да спроведат проекти кои што се важни за сите бизниси. И тука се истите оние елементи или работи кои што беа претходно спомнати во дискусијата. Подобра инфраструктура, подобри институции, морам да ја споменам дигитализацијата и така натаму. Може председателе Азевски малку да ни кажете и за Коморскиот инвестициски форум. Која е идејата? Тоа е она што му треба на бизнисот во регионот.
Така е. Значи прво треба да го дефинираме регионот. Овде гледам се зборува за Западен Балкан, значи дефиниране за вас. За мене не е дефинирано. Дали е тоа Југоисточна Европа, дали е тоа Балкан или дали е Западен Балкан. Или пак ќе биде мал Шенген. Значи ние сега одиме према тоа да зборуваме, да дефинираме прво простор. Друго, кога ќе го дефинираме тој простор, тоа треба да се определиме, да кажеме дека сите ево и представниците на Светска банка и на ММФ и на меѓународните организации државите сакат да ни помогнат, а ние пружаме отпор. Значи сите иницијативи регионални ги сведовме на катастрофа. ЦЕФТА, пазите ЦЕФТА кој што е предворје на Европска унија, ние имаме сега 8% пат во размената од формирањето. Видовме светла точка во Коморскиот инвестиционен форум затоа што тоа беше во рамките на Берлинскиот процес. Видовме јак спонзор, германскиот канцелар, видовме јака држава што стои за тоа Германија, јасен таргет кој што беше поставен и обезбедени финансиски средства. Дали се остварува тоа се како што треба? Морам да ви кажам со крајни напори и на ивица. Зошто е тоа така? Заради актуелните состојби. Ги тргам настрана сите политички импликации и конотации што ги слушаме и така натаму. Зборуваме за бројки. Ние внатре во рамките на Западен Балкан како Македонија имаме за првите 8 месеци 1,1 милиарда долари размена со сите други 5 земји. 1,1, а една фирма во Македонија има извоз во Германија 2 милиарди. Значи, таа е тенденција која што стои и која што се одржува да размената не се покачува меѓу земјите од Западен Балкан и тука треба да ги бараме причините. Втората причина е ниското ниво на животен стандард на луѓето, а третата круцијална причина е корупцијата која не уништи. Значи, ние ги слушам на многу скупови представниците на меѓународните организации кои што ни помагаат. Да речеме, предпоставка дека помагаат и сите што јавно го декларираат тоа. Помошта према земјите од Западен Балкан е да се уништи корупцијата и сивата економија. Тука треба помош и ние ја бараме како бизнес сектор цело време. Значи, мора да уследи организирана акција, а таа акција значи подигање на нивото на животниот стандард. Поинакви размислувања, корупцијата не може да се уништи со зборови. Корупцијата царува на овие простори и таа е број 1. Доминантна, сите тоа го знаеме и не можеме да кажеме и да најдеме решение. Решението е многу едноставно. Често јас го споменувам тој пример на еден наш уметник, Рамбо Амадеус, кој што вели до 300 евра зборува за корупција, примања до 500 за викенд каде ќе одиш, до 1000 за каде ќе одиш на одмор, а над 3000 примања зборува за временска прогноза. Дајте да направиме нешто да зборуваме за временска прогноза. Сите да се усмериме кон тоа да му помогнеме на Западниот Балкан и на сите тие држави да го подигнат нивото на животниот стандард и да исчекорат од зоната на сивата економија и корупцијата. И сега директорката сигурно ќе не праша како. Ги очекувам прашањата како. Како треба да
меморандум за соработка, ќе разговараме заедно,
треба да го слушнеме гласот на реалниот сектор, кој што веројатно нема 51% во овој момент во вкупните одлучувања и треба да се собереме сите заедно и да се договориме како од тој некој процент кој што го поседуваме на учество во вкупните политички и економски процеси, ќе се подигнеме на 51%, затоа што живееме во систем во кој што 51% значи све. И тоа треба да го направиме на еден мудар и организиран начин, затоа што бизнисот нема друго решение, ние не можеме да штрajкуваме. Ние треба да бидеме упорни во нашите барања, во нашите сваѓања, во нашите лобирања, да ги убедиме политичките елити дека треба да се преземат чекори и мерки стратешки кои што можда ќе ги угрозат нивните лични интереси, али ќе допринесат за решавање на овие прашања за кои што зборував. Тоа се вика вистински диалог. За секое прашање, вистински диалог и упорност на тој диалог. Значи, она што го кажал Харолд Вилсон, премиерот на Велика Британија 63-та, подобро има и го бизнисот како сојузник во градењето на прописите, него како опонент во нивното извршување. Ние бизнисот го имаме формално за партнер во донесувањето на законската регулатива и затоа често и многу често го имаме за противник во неговата имплементација. Така да треба да се тргне одделно темелно решение, треба да се разрешат 3 структурни проблеми кои што постојат во економиите на Западниот Балкан, тоа е односот меѓу капиталот и трудот. Вториот проблем е проблемот на односот на работоспособното издржавното население кое мора да се избалансира и трето е континуитет на правната регулатива и испроведувањето на правните прописи при промена на власта, каде што објективно се соочуваме со проблеми. И после се сите наши барања кои конкретно укажуваат каде и кој правец треба да се оди. Ќе повторам една работа. Ние не мислиме дека како бизнис нашите решенија се идеални. Ние знаеме дека сме само сегмент од целокупното живење, али бараме озбилност во диалогот. Не може озбилност во диалогот да биде за структурно прашање да те викнат 2 сати пред објавувањето. Значи ти седиш во една сала и они те консултираат, а веќе се напрчиле на говорницата во другата сала и даваат пресконференции каде тоа решение усвојат. Значи да не се лажиме, ние не сме деца, ние знаеме во какви услови сме и некогаш и ќе премолчиме, некогаш ќе бидеме и покултурни од тоа што треба, меѓутоа никој да не мисли дека тоа го одобруваме. Ево, јавно ќе кажам, не го одобруваме, ние знаеме дека имаме проблеми на тој план и затоа јавно кажуваме. Диалог во наредниот период е најпотребен, решавање на прашањето на корупцијата и сивата економија исто така и озбилност при предлозите на бизнис заедницата, кои што морат да бидат и од наша страна на највисоко ниво. Тоа значи дека на база на студии, анализи и истражувања, а не на држење раката во джебот и придоаѓање на клучните средби и како сретнал некој по оној му кажал, па така тој го пренесел тоа ставот на клучно место и така ќе градиме економски политики. Нема да има пристап до таквите места кај што се одлучува ако нема истражување, ако нема сондажа, ако нема извештај како што треба, ако нема анализа за тоа направено и така натаму. Така да има и кај нас слабости, ево ја користам приликата да кажам дека тоа го признаваме, ќе го подобриме или бараме по-озбилен пристап од сите.
Ви благодарам. Ние сме некаде во тие фазите со платите и со разговорите измеѓу, би рекла, се уште сме 300-400 евра плата, меѓутоа постојано зборуваме за животната средина, не за времето, за жал, за загадувањето. Мораме да го решиме тој проблем и ќе зборуваме утре многу на самитот како тоа можеме да го направиме. Јас би сакала оваа констатација или оние три кои што ги спомнавте, главни структурни работи кои што треба да се подобрат во нашите економии, би ги прашала и гостите, иако мислам дека сите имаат консензус околу тоа кои се главните проблеми, меѓутоа ако треба да издвоите три структурни работи, три работи кои што мора да ги подобри регионот, кои би биле тие. Сосема накусо само ве молам наборете ги, бидејќи сакаме малку и публиката да ја дадеме простор на гостите. Повелете.
The obstacles that we are facing are a complex issue, and it's not easy just singling out a couple of things. I think what we need is a holistic approach, which will tackle in an integral and inclusive way all the obstacles concerning the long-term factors of production, which clearly we discussed. However, let me try to mention at least three areas. First of all, definitely human capital. There are a lot of estimates that clearly point that human capital explains roughly 30% in the difference in the income level among countries. So it should not be underestimated, especially now in the dynamic environment which asks new skills, new technologies, because there should be people knowing how to manage these new skills, and it will in a way offset the effect of shrinking working age, higher quality with less quantity. The second segment, given the stock of the capital that I mentioned, definitely we need to step up with investments, private but also public infrastructure investments. And to step up with private investments related to this question, it's very important the quality of the institutions. Looking at the, for example, World Economic Forum skills segment quality of institution definitely will lag behind in many different segments. And quality of institution, it's very important because it affects the perceptions for the economy, perception of domestic agents, economic agents, and their decisions to invest and consume, but also even more so affects international investors. And we are a small and open economy, and we know that small economies cannot become rich if they are not well integrated with the rest of the world. And to have higher integration, clearly we need more FDIs, that is higher increase of foreign savings in our economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for being short and on the point. Sebastian?
Yeah.
But even shorter.
Three policy priority for policymakers. The first one, tackle informality. So this I cannot underline enough the importance. Plenty of studies showing that companies operating informally tend to invest less, hire less people, and be less productive than similar companies in the formal sector. So big potential if it is possible to reallocate resources away from the informal into the formal sector. Second priority is strengthening institutions. I mean governance, including the governance of the SOE, state-owned enterprises and public enterprises, which are still a significant share of the economy in some of the countries in the region, but also fighting corruption, which is a related issue. And the third, and I would say critical priority is to tackle the skills shortage and skills mismatches when we talk to investors in the region, to businessmen. This is singled out as the sort of highest or tightest constraint in the region.
Thank you, Peter. What would you say?
Yes, so basically most of it was already said, but I would also focus very much on the governance and institutions. It's the most important, basically, the public governance that basically the public administration, the operation of the public administration is rather serving the businesses than hindering the operation of the businesses. It requires a more professionalized public administration, well-functioning independent judicial system. So all of this is essential for the businesses to grow. The second one is green investments, so from renewables to basically all the communal infrastructure which is needed for people to feel better in their homeland. And last but not least, what was already mentioned several times is investment in human capital, so education, health, again, which is making the labor force more productive and, again, people feel better in their skin.
Thank you. So from our perspective, it seems quite easy or simple. You know, we just need to focus on several areas and things will improve. I will just mention, so human capital, investments, but we also mentioned green investments, quality of institutions. I would also add to what the governor said that the quality of institutions also affect our tax morale, whether we are ready and prepared to pay more taxes. We are paying taxes, healthcare is bad, public administration is bad, and so on. So it's very important for the tax morality. Corruption, it's been there in every discussion. Skill shortages, and skill mismatches, so again related to human capital. So these are the issues that we need to focus on in order to progress, to become and build a stronger nation. I would now actually ask Kirk, maybe, we can have a round of questions. If not, we have like...
We have time for one question, so anybody have a great one? I don't see a hand immediately, so ask one last question, Nikita, and then we'll wrap the panel.
So, okay, this last question is more like trying to get some insight for our organization on what we can do. So I would, but please, we have the time here. It's about how do you think that diaspora can help? So recently there was this quarterly report of the World Bank saying, okay, there is a huge potential of diaspora for the whole region. So what can diaspora do? What do you think? I mean, it can fit into our plans of the organization. So. Anita.
Okay.
This is the round, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first I think there are a lot of studies that clearly point that the diaspora can play and in fact play important role in the development of the economies. Usual association when we speak about diaspora are remittances. You know, these are these inflows that can be channeled to the consumption or channeled to investment in the home countries, which means it can, in a significant way, especially if the remittances are in a sizable amount, that can significantly affect in many macro aspects of the domestic, of the country where the diaspora comes from. In our case, definitely, remittances are given the size of the remittances, I have no doubt that they are playing a very important role. For example, in the last 10 years, remittances account or hover around 15%. Just to mention our structural problem, trade deficit, which is in the same period about 17% of GDP, which means that definitely the remittances play a key role in financing the structural issue that we have. It's a trade deficit, and help us still do not have significant external vulnerability looking from the point of view of the current account. However, I would not say that remittances is the only channel through which diaspora can help their countries. In fact, as I mentioned, there are a lot of empirical evidence that points to different channels. For example, one channel is investments. I recently looked at a study that points that clear correlation, but also causation between the networks of diaspora and foreign direct investment inflows and portfolio inflows. And this is explained basically on the ground of low cost information, low cost for information and transaction cost. Also, diaspora can help through other channels, such as trade channel. Recently, I also looked at one study. I was to some extent surprised that, because we can think of channels, but it's very difficult to quantify. I think that's one of the challenges, because all the efforts cannot be measured through the indicators. But I was surprised in the sense that even I have found some studies. One study for the Canadian trade points to 10% increase in immigration in Canada results in 3% increase in export to the countries where the immigration comes, which points in a way that there is a significant potential. Of course, what will be the effect depends a lot, depends on the size of the diaspora, its concentration, to what extent it is integrated in the economy where it is living, but also it depends a lot on the engagement with the domestic economy and also on the policies in our countries, to what extent we are active and trying to actively use the potential benefits which are coming from the diaspora.
Thank you, Governor. And I think I would actually end up the session here. Apologies, gentlemen, but I think this was a very strong conclusion to the session and for the organization. So a lot of work for us, but as I mentioned, in partnership with all of you. Thank you again, and thank you for the guests. Благодаря.
Thank you so much. A couple quick announcements before we go to break. I want to let everybody know that the business-to-business meetings are available to start right now on the floor below. You can meet in room D. There are refreshments there. Our encouragement is to make sure you have a lot of conversations, talk to people, and look for new opportunities to explore ways to work together. So again, one floor downstairs, room D, there's coffee and refreshments in there. Secondarily, I want everybody back here at noon for our next session that's going to start. Coffee is out there, so get caffeine, get ready to be back up here. And our next session is going to be on the future of work, how we prepare our nation to succeed and lead in the region. So thank you very much, and see you soon.